You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Oh, oh, it's magic! The Gathering. You know.
Baby, believe it's not so.
Dun, 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 dun,
Magic, you know. Never believe it's not fun. That's it.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Command Zone, episode 120, we believe. My name is Jimmy Wong.
We believe. How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai.
We should maybe tell people that we are recording 3 episodes in a row today.
Wait, I thought I brought change of shirts so we could trick
crap. Wait 1 sec. Imagine we're still recording Josh. Bam.
So, if you... Oh, no, I'm failing. Oh, yes. Card Kingdom, our sponsor. Our wonderful sponsor, cardkingdom.com. Jimmy, not taking his shirt off over there.
What? It's me, a new version of me on a new day, recording a new podcast.
It's a totally different day.
You were saying something about Card Kingdom. What is Card Kingdom?
Card Kingdom is the best place to buy all of your Magic cards and other Magic accessories. You should definitely be ordering or buying Conspiracy 2 product right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this on the last episode as well. Conspiracy 2 is here. Burgeoning is in the set. At this point,
crap.
We don't know the full set yet because we're recording this a little early, but there are going to be a lot of cards in here. I just can feel it in my bones.
The last set was awesome. I'm assuming this one's going to be to draft also, not just to crack, but, you know, obviously cracking stuff packs is fun. Don't tell Marshall I said that. Use the affiliate link, cardkingdom.com/command-zone, and then let them know we sent you.
Yep, the site is awesome. All of their product is graded super with, I don't know, the benefit of the doubt. Like if it says near mint, that card is in pristine condition. There's not a nick on that thing. If it says very close to near mint, it's still in pristine condition, and there's like a tiny thing somewhere on it. But yeah, Card Kingdom is great. They take really good care of their customers and their cards and their product. They always ship it in great shipping. The envelopes are padded. It has a Card Kingdom logo on top of it. It gets to you really quickly. I'm a big fan of the service.
They're awesome. Again, cardkingdom.com/command-zone. All right, we're going to be doing another Q&A episode. So you're going to hear people asking questions. If you hear yourself, your own voice on this episode, that means that you have won 3 packs of Eldritch Moon. Or it could be Conspiracy 2. It's probably Conspiracy 2. I'm going to say Conspiracy 2. What do you think?
Sure.
If you hear your voice, you won 3 packs of Conspiracy 2.
Congratulations. And thank you guys for sending in questions. We asked for these a few weeks back.
Yes. So send your mailing address to commandcast@rocketjump.com so that we can send out your free packs.
Yeah, very exciting. Everyone's getting a draft set. By draft set, I mean 3 packs.
Yeah. We should also say these packs are sent by us. Actually, they're sent by Jimmy. I don't send them. Jimmy sends them, not Card Kingdom, which is probably why they're going to take a little bit longer to get to you. Like if it was Card Kingdom, you'd get them like in 3 days or 2 days or 1 day.
They would be there right now at the time of this recording.
But because it's us, it'll take a little bit longer because Jimmy's going to wait till we hear from everybody and then send all the packs out all at once. Also, there's a statute of limitations on the prizes. We're going to start doing this because when we hear from somebody who won stuff months before, it makes it really tough. So by October 1st, send us your mailing address and you'll win the packs. If you send after that, sorry, you'll have to enter the next contest and try to be faster.
Yep. It's also easier because I ship them all out bulk at the same time. So I do a giant batch order. So it makes it much faster and easier for me to do it.
Do it all at once,
yeah. Okay. Sweet. We got a lot of listener questions. We asked on Twitter for these questions. We'll do this again in the future. I love hearing our listeners' voices. I think it's a really cool way for also people to get featured on the show, woo, and you win, of course, free stuff.
And you get stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and we had some great questions last time. My favorite, I think, was what was your historical group of people that you would want to play with?
I'm really sad that I can never actually fulfill that dream.
Yeah, I know, me too. But I loved, again, hearing from you guys, the listeners, what your favorite historical people to play with would be as well. It was really inspiring, actually, to see all that stuff.
Actually, that's a good trend. If you hear a question and you have an answer, go ahead and tweet it at us or leave it in the comment section. We love hearing your answers to these same questions.
Mm-hmm. And we love it, too, when you guys get in discussions with each other.
That's really fun to watch.
So get the whole community involved. A lot of fun.
All right, let's start it off with question number 1. This is Jesse Durant.
Political question for you. I often find I'm in the situation where one of my opponents has me dead on board. Even though I'm going to lose, I can block a few of their creatures and reduce their board state, or I can not block and let the rest of the table deal with it. I can never decide. What do you normally do?
Destroy them as much as you can.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on this one.
Yeah.
See, I think the thing is, if you think about just that game, then it is a conundrum. But if you think about all of the games you're going to play, that means the future games, then it's no decision at all. You want to inflict punishment because you don't want to set the precedent that if you attack me and you're going to kill me sometimes, that doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, you get a free win, sure. Or a free victory against me. You can knock me out. Well, okay, sure, I'll just
with no
scoot.
repercussions.
Yeah.
But I want to set the precedent that, like, hey, if you come after me, even if you take me out, I am going to do as much damage to you as possible. So sometimes you're going to look at two players and be like, well, I might be able to take Josh out, but he's going to damage me so much that I now can't win that game. So I have to look for a better spot to do it, which might give me more turns to sort of come back when I'm behind in the future.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, too, a lot of people complain that, like, I didn't get to play my deck. Well, this gives you one last shot at letting your deck do what it does best before you get knocked out. So, like, hey, put your dukes up. See what can happen.
I
really like setting a precedent, though, because it's true. And then another game, someone's going to be like, he's got all that open mana, but he is the biggest threat. At the same time, maybe it's a big enough threat that I can get other people to take that person out instead.
Yep. Can I take the counterpunch? Maybe I can, but how weak does that leave me?
Yeah.
Do I want to do that?
Do you want to take the counterpunch?
Yeah.
The answer is often probably not.
I've definitely been in a lot of games where I've thought, I can take this player out. But the problem is that the amount of resources I'm going to have to expend to do it, counting my life total, the amount of creatures or board presence I'm going to have to give up, actually isn't advantageous to me at the moment because I'm still going to have to deal with the other two players after that's over, and I'm going to be so weakened I can't.
Now, there are some arguments to be made to just not doing anything. If there's something like, I really don't want this person to win, or we're playing secret partners and my partner's still in the game, and if I kill this person or if I do enough here, I'm going to force them to use Nev's disc or something else to wipe everything else out, and I actually know that, hey, I don't want the person that's killing me to win, but I know someone else can beat them if I don't trigger whatever it is that they can do as a result of me trying to combat them here.
In general, though, get them as much as you can, even if you're going down.
I like that too. For me, it's like a mini game. The ship's sinking.
What can I do? How many can I take? Some of your lands, some of your creatures? Can I do something just to make it so that I didn't go down without a fight?
Yeah.
You're the even numbers this time.
Okay. Question number two, the number two dose comes from Nick.
What bend to the rules of the color pie would you like to see to help you create your dream deck?
Card draw in white.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would love it if every deck could just play Ristic Study, if they just reprinted that as...
Well, they got Mind's Eye. It's way more expensive and not as good.
5 mana, and you are the one paying one.
The problem is if you do that, the blue decks just get another awesome... They have 2 Ristic Studies now.
Right, but if it just is Ristic Study can now be played in every deck, then they only still have one.
I really just think it's red-white that needs Ristic Study. So could they make a... I think it's particularly white.
They call it the Boros Study. Of war.
Study
of war.
It's called The Art of War.
1 red white. Every time an opponent plays a creature spell with power 2 or less, you may draw
It's not that great. There might be some games where that never gets triggered.
It's better than Ristic. I mean, it's not better than Ristic Study. It's better than nothing.
I also think they need mana ramp.
Yeah. So I would bend the hybrid mana rule.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think... I don't know. I mean, like, this could totally change once 4-color commanders come out, but it'd be nice to be able to play some of the hybrid mana commanders.
In just one color?
Yeah. Like, Tassiger would be awesome. No, actually, it wouldn't be that good. But
it doesn't change. Well, you could play Tassiger in other decks, but the Tassiger deck itself doesn't change, because right now, if you want to play Tassiger and only play 2 of those colors, you can.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of now, like, when... I don't know. It's tough to answer this question without just breaking the format.
I just think white needs some form of ramp and card draw. And red card draw has really come along in the last couple of years. They've added more Outpost Siege and that style of exile a card at the beginning of your upkeep. You may play it until end of turn.
Yeah.
That's a good red style card draw.
Or
white doesn't really have that, and they need whatever their style is. And maybe it's tied to the size of creatures coming out, like Mentor for the Meek, or maybe they just need to find that mechanic or that way that white can draw cards, because they're at a super big disadvantage. And then at least with ramp, you can just run all the usual suspects.
I'm going to design it now. White's card draw ability is called behind the ranks.
Okay.
Because they're like getting ready for war.
Okay,
But
yeah,
it's behind the scenes.
Okay.
So it's definitely drawing cards, but it's doing it in a white way. So maybe it has to do something with the idea of preparation, the idea of being in front, being ahead of what your opponents are doing, but not specifically draw a card, because that's not what white does. It needs to have something else trigger it. So Mentor of the Meek is the closest I can think to.
But it doesn't even work in all the white decks. It's so specific. Like if you don't have a bunch of little creatures, it's not that. I mean, it's okay.
Every time you exile a creature, that's awful.
What about like, how about some card? Well, let's say it was an artifact and it costs like 3 to put out, and it said, whenever your opponent draws a card for their turn, if it's not the first card,
Okay.
you can pay 1.
Right,
draw
and
a
that
card.
you would call that like battle preparation or something.
Yeah, something, or it's like matching battle plans, or
Yeah.
something like that.
I'll take it.
So like you can match them, or
Right.
something like that.
So it's not your own volition, but it's dependent on what other people are doing.
Yeah, kind of. But if they get to draw a second card, then you get to draw a second card, as long as you pay like 1 or 2 mana or something like that.
Yeah, good question.
I don't know.
Thanks, Nick. Good question. I'm excited to see 4-color commanders because I think... Oh, by the way, Josh's dream decks are built by just going all 5 colors.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Break
you-
the color pie by creating a land that taps for all 5 mana but doesn't do damage to you, like a tri-land. But
It's called Command Tower, actually.
oh, they did that. You're
Yeah,
right.
they did that.
Oh, they already broke the color pie.
There you go.
Go figure. Okay. Question number 3 is from Quentin Nottage.
How's it? I wanted to know, because it definitely has affected me, how much Magic has affected your life, or particularly Commander, because Commander has been a very big outlet for fun and expression for me. So I was wondering, for you two guys, how has Commander affected your life personally?
It's... Oh, man. Magic, I think... We've talked about this before.
That's one of the great things about games, and Magic. It's not unique to Magic,
Yeah,
but
it's not
Magic's a
unique to
big
Magic.
game in our life. So
It's made me a better decision maker. It's made me be more just... I don't know. It's made me use my brain more in emotional situations, help me diffuse things, help me sort of like analyze, like, what can I learn from this experience as opposed to I'm angry, and like pout about it or whatever,
really
you know?
good point. Or how to sort of stay calm in pressure situations can be a thing
Ooh,
too,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're in tournaments and you need to sort of not let the nerves get to you. That's a big thing. Yeah, this is a type of question that we just love, because to me, that's what games are sort of for, right?
Yeah.
Like stories and fairy tales are very often supposed to teach lessons, and games are very similar, where you should be able to draw analogs and learn lessons from games. So for me, Magic, camaraderie. Also, we were talking about this the other night. Organizing,
Oh, yeah.
that's a big thing in my life. Like, I really learned it
Budgeting.
I really learned it from production, from film production. But it's worked with organizing, like just your play group to get together, because especially Commander, you can't just do it with only 2 people. You need a larger group.
Yeah.
And so you have to like be in contact with people. You have to find out like, okay, what time, where, how many people are coming. We need this specific amount. If you want, we did an event where we all went to Vegas. There was 8 of us. And so we had to coordinate like everybody flying in, where's everybody staying, who's staying in what rooms, who's getting the product, who's getting the, a table set up in the room, and all this stuff. And like, that is really good life skills, because in life, there's going to be other things where you need to organize people, and you need to rally people, and you need to like get things done. And so that you wouldn't even think is something about Magic, but it totally is. There's a really good lesson in life.
Yeah, I like how Magic challenges me in general, because it makes me, to have more fun, I need to be better at the game in my personal life. That's sort of how I treat stuff. And as a result, I just, it's made me transfer that mentality and realize like, oh, I don't need to just apply this to games. I should apply it to other parts of my career. Like when I'm doing this thing, instead of just settling for like, nah, it's good enough. I found myself often pushing myself more to like, well, spend, another 30 minutes, another hour on it, and you can make it significantly better through your own volition and your own hard work.
Yeah, you've learned how to push yourself, how to like scrape away the deficiency and find like, yeah. I don't know if I've ever told this story on the cast, but one of the big sort of formative life things in my entire life was in high school. We used to play this game called Vampire the Masquerade, and it was it was a live action role playing game. And to this day, it's probably the single like biggest, I don't know, life lessons I ever learned were in that game, because I was playing a character in a situation, but it wasn't, I could do things that in real life you couldn't do. I could try things. I could be like, well, what if I act this way? How will people react?
Oh, that's
what
really
if I
interesting.
act like this character's mean, and how do people react when I'm a mean person? And this character's shy, and how do people react when, and I was playing different characters and really experimenting socially. And to this day, like all the time, I use the lessons learned from that because, everybody else was playing too, but you get real reactions.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's just like a great thing. Like, maybe the big lesson is just to learn lesson from games and apply it to your life. Like whatever it is, that's really where games shine. They can teach you so much about other aspects of your life.
Yeah. I would challenge you guys and everyone out there, all you guys and gals, to think about Magic in this way and see if it has changed your life in other ways, or if the way that you live your life informs how you play Magic and stuff, because it's a very interesting thing to think about and sort of to delve into.
All right.
Our next question.
Andy Gamitter.
I run a Noyandar the Royal Shaper deck, and I've recently been thinking about adding green to the deck for more lands. I know you've talked a lot about going up to 5 colors for certain decks, but what about going up to 3 colors when you're working with a 2-color commander?
This is a great question.
We get asked this a lot because I think we have this sort of unique thing on the show, which is the idea of sort of 5 colorizing a commander.
Or not upgrading necessarily, but just adding more.
It's almost like the hidden commander.
Yeah.
The thing I would say is, and I don't know if Noyandar falls into this category, but you generally can only do this in 2 cases. One is where the effect the commander is giving you is an effect that's replicated multiple times with other cards. And some of those cards are outside of the color pair that the commander is. So it's sort of giving you the ability to, like, your commander can really be any one of 5 or 6 cards in your deck because 5 or 6 cards in your deck sort of replicate that effect. So the example is Nekusar.
Yep.
Underworld Dreams, and I'm not even going to go through them all, but there's a whole bunch of cards that sort of tax everybody for drawing cards. So Nekusar doesn't have to be the commander because any of those cards will do that job.
Yeah, you're playing a deck that punishes you for doing this thing, and Nekusar is one of the many cards that does it because the card was based on that idea from the very beginning.
It's basically Underworld Dreams and Howling Mine just stapled together.
Yeah.
And the other one is when you have a commander and then you have another legendary creature that works very well in combination, but the other legendary creature that's in combo is more colors. So you can take the colors of the one part of the combo rather than the other. And that just doesn't mean infinite combo. It's like Child of Alara with Marchesa.
Yeah.
That is a combination where, like, if you can ever get Marchesa, Child of Alara, and then a 1/1 counter machine out, you can just wrath the board every turn, and your stuff comes back. So in that case, you have to run Child of Alara as your commander because Marchesa can't have Child of Alara in the deck, right? Because one's 5 color and one's not. So Noyandar is an interesting one. I think... So I guess I should rewind. The idea of sort of adding colors to your commander and hiding it within your deck, it won't work with every commander or it'll be tougher.
Yeah, it's interesting because Noyandar's ability is very unique to the set that he's from, which is essentially awakening a land and putting +1/+1 counters on it. Now, there are, your lands matter decks can kind of be the same deck, but this deck you would have to stray away from the idea that, like, now you build a Noyandar deck, you're shaping it around a lot of instants and sorceries. If you were to make it into a 3-color deck, you would go very far away from that and just have a lands matter kind of deck with, like, Titania and...
I wonder, though, because a lot of your cultivates and those type of effects are instants and sorceries.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome for a Noyandar deck. You do have a lot of creature tutors as well, but you are significantly adding a sort of a burden to your deck to always have to Green Sun Zenith or whatever for a specific card to have it really operate the way you want it to.
Yeah, and I think that's the key issue, right? Is how does that deck work if Noyandar's not out? And if the answer is it doesn't, then that's kind of bad. And now, if you can find a commander that's in the Bant colors because you're adding green, is what Andy wanted to do. You need to find a commander that still does good stuff with Noyandar not out. And then, green's a good color to add because in general, it's the color that can most easily find a creature. So you can go find Noyandar. And green also has Rift Sweeper. So that's another really important part because if somebody exiles your Noyandar and it's not your commander, it's just gone forever.
Sweep it back in.
Yeah, you can Rift Sweep it back in and then you still have to go tutor for it again. It's kind of a pain, but this could work. I think that you have to be really careful because you need the deck to be doing stuff when Noyandar's not out. And that's what you'd have to figure out, I think, is like, because Noyandar with like cultivates and all Kodama's reach, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm getting more lands into play, and the thing that's putting more lands into play is making my lands into huge creatures. And it also has the cards that like sort of turn all lands into creatures and like stuff like that. You know, those classic combos with Elish Norn, which basically turns all lands into creatures, and that kills all your opponent's lands, and yours are all pumped up. You know, that kind of stuff you could do with green and white. I'm just not sure off the top of my head what that commander is. It sounds like it's a decent idea if you can figure out what does that deck do when the commander's not out. How do I have other cards in that deck that simulate something similar to what Noyandar does, which is make my cards like Cultivate and Kodama's Reach and my instants and sorceries do something.
Yeah, at that point you're making a Bant deck. You get to play Dryad Arbor though, which is awesome. It's a creature land. I'm trying to think what else you could do. I mean, what kind of commander would run that deck? Because if it's like maybe you made it a not a Voltron deck with Rafik, but a big swing or like a Shu Yun deck.
That's
Jeskai. It's
you've
tough.
got Rune, you've got Derevi, you've got and Rafik is Bant.
You have Angus, I believe, is also Bant. Mackenzie.
Angus, that doesn't seem great. Doesn't seem like something you really want to be doing. Like, what are any of those doing when Noyandar's not out? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see what you come up with, though. Please let us know. It would be really interesting to see what sort of the win condition of that deck is and how it operates. But let us know. Yeah, send us an email or a tweet or whatever.
If it's literally just find this one specific card and then do stuff, it's not going to be very good.
Yeah,
if
it's just going to be tough to play.
If it's find one of these slew of cards, then it's going to be a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, next question is from Tom Bigwood.
You know how some people just love putting Cyclonic Rift in every one of their blue decks, or Sun Titan in every one of their white decks? Do you guys have cards that you find yourselves shoehorning into every deck of a certain color?
I put Chaos Warp in almost every one of my decks that has red.
Yeah, unless I have Orzhov, in which case I'll just run Other End or Anguish of Manking or Vindicate. But yeah, Fate Stitcher, my blue decks, almost all of them.
Ristic Study in every single blue deck.
Oh yeah, Ristic
Definitely.
Study.
I found myself putting Worm Coil Engine in any deck that has any amount of, you can get a creature back at some point.
Recursion, yeah. Vidalcan Orrery.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Vidalcan
I started
Orrery.
putting that in like literal everything.
Yeah, a lot of my blue decks have Leyline of Anticipation as well to give stuff flash.
I'm beginning to think that is like ubiquitous to the point of like Vidalcan Orrery or its equivalent should go in everything. It's all
so good.
It just allows you to, we talked about it, to choose where you're sitting at the table, which sometimes is very, very strong.
Sometimes, that's it. It's always strong.
Sorry, always strong, yeah.
Green Sun Zenith.
I don't put that in every deck. Burgeoning is going in more and more decks.
Yeah.
Because I have so much card draw. It's such a point of emphasis for all the decks that I build. So
Burgeoning makes a lot of sense,
very
actually.
good when you're drawing a lot of cards, and I don't usually build decks where I'm not drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like, I want to say cards like Chord of Calling, but it's very green specific, so it's hard if you're not a creature-based deck, but just have green for some other reason or effect.
Yeah. Those are the ones. I don't know if we're making any big
white?
waves here. Like, are we being surprising? Well, Fate Stitcher.
Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, one or the other always goes into a white deck.
True. I'd say, yeah.
Very hard to cut.
90% of my decks have, if they have white, have one of those or both.
In red, usually Blood Moon goes into a lot of those decks as well.
No, I don't have a Blood Moon in a single deck.
Oh, that's too bad. Have you read that card?
Actually, I don't think that's true. I think I have one in like Joyrah or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. 2-color.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, cool question.
Wait, before we move on.
You got to practice.
If you guys saw that, I tossed it and it bounced back into
it's
my
like
hand.
when you throw the paper airplane,
it just comes right back.
It just comes right back.
Yeah, here, you can do it. That's good. That's good.
I tried really hard to make sure it got back there.
Yeah.
Okay, on to question number 6. This one's from John Kressel.
What would you say are some good commanders to get people into the game, especially people who have never played? What would be some easier commanders that they could use that would help them to introduce them to the game mechanics while still being somewhat competitive so they're not blown out by the more complicated strategies?
Well, here's the thing I would say. Don't teach the game with Commander.
Yeah, it's one of the worst ways to reintroduce someone to Magic.
I mean, he's saying
Or introduce.
particularly new players. Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
Listen, I think it is the worst way
Yeah.
because what?
Well, no, like legacy or vintage.
No,
would be
even
pretty-
then, at least it's one-on-one.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the board state you have to keep track of on Commander is so much more complicated. We've played with like pro players. These are people that play at the highest level of Magic, and so many of the cards are like, wait, what's that do? What's that do? What's out? Like they don't play with these cards because the card pool in Legacy is actually not as big as it looks because you can't actually play anything that costs more than like 4 mana.
Yeah.
So just X out all not all of them, but a large percentage are just off the table as like not even playable. In our format, not only are there 5 or 6 different decks, they also, the amount of cards they could possibly play is huge.
So many.
It's just really, I think it's not a good idea for new players to enter the game through Commander. Now, people who have played Magic and are sort of coming back or getting reacquainted, that's fine because they understand basically how it goes. But I don't think this is what John's asking.
I would, if it was someone that kind of knew what they were doing, I would give them like a Voltron deck that was like Sigarda, right? 2 colors, pretty simple, put equipment on, swing.
And then I would play one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one for sure.
I mean, the best thing is to get those starter decks for brand new players, those ones you can get for free. I forget what they're called, but they're like new player decks, or just build them, mono-colored decks. They're very simple without instants. We did a Teaching Magic episode. I think it was like one of our first 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I think if you go back and look at that, John, it'll give a good like account of like the best way to get somebody into Magic without overwhelming them to the point where they're not interested. Because I think that's the problem with Commander. If they enter that way, they're going to look around at some point and be like, this game's crazy. I'm never going to get this. And they're just going to lose interest.
Yeah, there's too much stuff going on. And also, I recommend if you teach someone how to play Magic, I just did this a week and a half ago. Start with just lands and creatures, and then add in sorceries, and then add in enchantments, and then like
instants
piece by piece.
Are last,
absolutely last.
They're the most complicated because you can choose when to play them. Where it's much easier to be like, okay, and now you can play creatures if you want to, and after that you can't anymore. So then blah blah blah. It's more step by step.
Yep. Good question though. Next up, we have a question from Justice Hughes.
I'm new to EDH. I've only been playing a couple months. Started out with a pre-construct and wanted to start building my own decks. And I haven't had a whole lot of success so far. They've been inconsistent or they just haven't worked the way I wanted them to. So my question is, are there any color combinations or archetypes that you recommend for new EDH deck builders?
This is tough.
Simic,
yeah, that's actually a really good point. I was like, well, it depends on what you like to do. But Simic is a really good starting point, I think.
Listen, build Simic and start with 10 cards that ramp you and 10 cards that draw you cards. Just start right there.
They don't even need to synergize with your commander.
They don't have to be, like we always talk about, like this commander wants your ramp to be creatures and this one wants, don't even worry about that when you're first like learning to brew. Just make sure you cover those bases. You'll learn later the nuances of like, oh, this one wants artifact ramp or this one wants this specific kind of ramp. Mm-hmm. But at first, if you start in Simic, you'll have so many options for those 2 categories, and that's going to make your deck, that inconsistent part, that's going to ratchet up that. So you're going to draw enough cards and have enough mana to do stuff. So that's just naturally going to be a little bit better of a jumping off point. It's harder to do the same things in other colors. So starting off, I would say, and you just put Explosive Vegetation and Cultivate and Voyaging Satyr and like any of these things. It doesn't really matter, but just, and I guess if you're new and you don't understand what ramp and card draw is, we haven't covered these in a while. Well, ramp is defined as any card that gets you ahead on mana for your turn. So on turn 4, if I play my 4th land, that's how much mana I should have. Any card that makes it so that on turn 4, I maybe have 5 mana available or 6 mana, or on turn 7, I have 8 or 9 mana available, those are ramp cards. So Gilded Lotus costs 5 mana and taps for 3 mana of any color. That ramps you because you play it on turn 5, and then on turn 6, you've got 9 mana available rather than 6 mana.
Yep, if you play a land that turn as well.
Right.
The question about they've been inconsistent or just haven't worked the way I've wanted them to. I feel like this happens to a lot of newer deck builders is because you have a grandiose idea or something that you can envision in your head, and oftentimes it just doesn't work that way in the game for any number of reasons. It's not that your idea was bad or that it was wrong in any way. It just doesn't, it may not be the right kind of situation for that to specifically flourish. It may be better 1v1. It may, just reevaluate the ideas that you're wanting to do, and also look up what other people have done. Look up EDH deck lists. There's tons of primers online for people that have, this is how to build the correct Carador deck, and they have a whole page on what they think about it. And reading that stuff can really help sort of focus your mind and how you want to build your deck in a way that makes you have more success down the road.
I would say too, like this could be a problem of evaluating what it is that's not working and then tweaking, because the process of building a deck is not just like I build it and now we're done and it's good. It's more like I build it, I try it, I learn things. From what I've learned, I make changes. Now I try it again. I learn more stuff. From that, I make more changes. And usually my deck's not really humming until I've played it in some games like 5, 6, maybe 10 times even, depending on the deck. I mean, every once in a while it's Mizzix and the first build is just amazing. But 90% of the time it's not. And I learn a lot. Like, oh, I have too much of this. Like my whole idea for the deck was this one thing, like my Tim deck. My whole idea was, have Tims and they ping people. And sometimes I put Death Touch on them and now that kills creatures. Or sometimes I put stuff that makes them steal it. Or when they ping, I draw cards. And what I learned the first time I played that was like, oh, I have way too many Tims. I put like 15 in there.
I don't need that many.
Yeah, I don't need them because once I have 2 out, I'm good. So I never want to have 5 out. That doesn't do anything more than 2.
Yeah, you just deal a little more damage or whatever.
Yeah, but identifying that as an issue allowed me to go back and be like, okay, well, let's take 5 or 6 of them out. And it feels weird because it's called the Tim deck.
Yeah.
But that's actually the correct way to build that deck. And now the deck's way better. And of course, I had to do that again. And then I played it again. And I go, oh, this is a problem.
Yeah. When you play games, write down or make mental notes of what didn't work and why it didn't work. Sometimes it could just be bad timing or you got countered. Other times it could be like, well, this just doesn't seem to be as effective as I thought it would be. And it's okay to toss those ideas aside or refine them.
A good rule of thumb is if I'm looking at my hand and there's cards in my hand that don't seem like they're going to do much, and that's because of my own deck, then that's a problem. Because if I'm like looking at a Tim, I've already got 3 Tims. It's not like somebody else. Like if you're looking at your hand and you're like, well, this is bad because of something that other player did. That may or may not be bad. But if this is bad because of the way my deck's set up, something definitely to look at and tweak.
Yep. All right.
Jackson Wong.
My brother.
For versatility and for efficiency, name your one go-to card for card draw and for mana ramp.
I've said this one a bunch. Hedron Archive is my new favorite for both.
Oh,
it's
that
got
covers
ramp.
both.
Covers
bases.
both. Yeah, it's my one go-to.
Oh, does he mean one go-to for both those things combined, or one for card draw and one for mana ramp?
Well, in that case, that's the third category: card draw and mana ramp. Versatility and for efficiency, though. I think Ristic Study has to be number one. Yeah, for card draw.
It's just 3 mana, and it you don't have to do anything except for say, did you pay 1 for that? Did you pay 1 for that? And then mana ramp, my one go-to card for mana ramp. It's probably Burgeoning.
Really? That's a great...
It's becoming...
Yeah.
I mean, and those are color specific, so it's not... But it's 1 mana.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of Mana Vault.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little more expensive because it's an older card, but yeah, it's 1 mana for 3. Just boop! And then, you have to pay more to untap it later, but you don't usually need to.
Yeah, true.
The one turn you play it is like you got to play Ugin on turn 5 or whatever, or 4, and that's powerful. Very powerful.
Jackson actually has a second question.
But you only get 1 prize pack thingy, Jackson. Don't be greedy.
Don't be greedy, Jackson.
All right, Jackson's next question is...
Who first came up with the name CommandCast?
Well, it's actually the Command Zone, but we call ourselves CommandCast on Tapped Out, on Twitter.
It's Twitter that came up with it.
Yeah, Twitter, because the Command Zone was taken. Command Zone, I think Command Zone Podcast was even. I don't even know.
We thought Command Zone Podcast was just too long.
Yeah, and you want to be able to tweet at someone and
if
have
you
enough
use
characters.
all 140 characters on their name, you can't say anything to them.
Yeah.
So
I think you kind of came up with CommandCast.
I don't know
on Twitter No,
I'm not very... it had to be you. I barely even knew how to create a Twitter account.
I mean, we were probably just tossing around a bunch of ideas, and CommandCast is one that we were like, oh, I like that. That sounds good.
We also knew whatever it was, we were going to have to use it for our email, for our Tapped Out, for everything else. So we wanted to roll off the tongue, and we wanted it to be as short as possible, even though it's not. We thought about doing like CMD cast. Like,
oh, right. Yeah.
But we just thought, how do you say it? You're going to have to explain it every time you say it.
Smidcast.
Yeah. You'd be like, okay, and tweet at us at CMDcast. And it's like, wait. Why? That's weird. No one will remember that. Although we get tweeted out a lot to Command Zone, which is a Twitter account that is not ours, and it's not even
active. I don't think.
I know we've tried to take it over. We even offered to buy it from them. They never answered because they don't use Twitter.
We're gonna ask one more time. Hey guys or girls or mindless
or aliens
robots
from another planet.
Would you like to sell at Command Zone or the Command Zone? Whoever, let us know. Send us an email.
Oh, you're talking to them right now, like they're watching the show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did they not watch the show?
No, I mean, that's great. They probably do.
They probably do.
Please.
Send us an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com because we're going to change that up if you sell us your account.
Yeah, would we even change it now? We've got like 6,000 Twitter followers.
We would set a forwarding up.
Yeah, there you go. So
email forwarding. Yeah. But that would still probably be the main one. I don't know. I don't know.
It's unlikely to come up.
If anyone knows those people, please let us know so that we can let them know.
So we will know.
So we can make a deal.
They know.
Let's make a deal.
What I thought they knew. All right, this next question is sort of related from David Doyle.
How did you decide to start a podcast?
How did we decide to start this podcast? It was not in this office, but it was in an office.
It was in Rocket Jump's old office.
Old office, yeah, which is right nearby.
We used to, we played a lot of Commander and we draft a lot.
We didn't even draft that much. Or at least I didn't when we first started. I think I drafted like 3 or 4 times before we started the podcast.
Yeah, I think what happened is...
I did more conspiracy drafts, actually. Because
I think we were drafting. We were starting to sort of ramp up our drafting. And as a result, we started listening to Limited Resources.
Right.
And then we were
That's right.
And we were also playing Commander. And so we were both like, man, Limited Resources, did you listen? Yeah. And then we were like, what's the Commander show that's like Limited Resources? Because we're also playing Commander and I need that. Yeah. And... we were like, I don't know. And we asked other people and they're like, there isn't one.
And I was like, I've been playing this game for like 5 months. I'm good enough to talk to people about it. That's all it took. I'm a prodigy.
We were like, listen, because we were in the Rocket Jump offices and we looked around and we're like, well, we have microphones.
Yeah, we got microphones here. Oh, actually, it was more, I have equipment. I can record this.
Yeah. Because you have it at home for all the music stuff.
I have all my music stuff.
And I was like, we have the means. Like, we have a server that we can put stuff on. Mm-hmm. We know how to, like, upload stuff to the internet.
Yeah,
like,
we can
create a logo.
Rocket Jump at the time was also doing podcasts. So there was a more than one precedent sort of like be like, hey, I think we could, do you want to do a podcast? Like, I wonder how many podcasts, by the way, Limited Resources has started.
Oh, it's got to be a huge percentage of them, like, of people just going like, yeah, and there's not that for this. There's not the modern equivalent of Limited Resources.
Yeah.
So
that's how Masters of Modern came to be, really.
Kinda, really.
For them, it was like, where is this?
No, Masters of Modern exists because Alex came on as our guest for 2 shows, and he loved doing it so much that he was like, I need my own podcast because I like talking about magic. Go figure. And he was like, well, how does it all work? And we talked, and he was like, I want to do it. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I know Glenn Jones. And I was like, well, that seems like a slam dunk. Let's do that.
All right. Well, yeah, hit it. Let's go.
So that is how we started. It's basically all because of Marshall Sutcliffe and I think it was Brian Wong at the time.
Yep. If you guys are hearing this now, tweet at Marshall. Tell him that we are forever grateful.
And he created a monster.
Yeah. A drafting monster is what he created.
What?
I would be driving in my car at like, coming back from something at like 2 a.m. or something, or like at like 10 p.m. like rushing to make it to a midnight pre-release, like listening to the podcast
on double time.
Yeah, no, 1.5 I think at that time. I tried double time and I was just I
can't keep up. Yeah.
I couldn't drive and do it at the same time because I was trying to like focus too hard on what they were saying. But yeah, 1.5 time, and it was nice. Everyone sounded a little weirder, but I was like, I gotta get this in, and I was so obsessed. I'm still obsessed.
I was going to say, it just sounds like when Eldritch Moon came out. Now, look at you now. You get invited to the like pre-release and you play against people like Marshall.
Yeah. I actually know him in real life now.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's funny when my friend Daniel, he's the one that was another, when we first started playing, he's like, oh, I play Commander. Yeah, let's play Commander. So I played Commander with him for the first time, was with him and a couple of his friends. And I remember him being like, dude, in like a year, you went from don't play Magic at all to you became Mr. Magic. And I thought that was just the funniest name. It was like, I am Mr. Magic.
It's funny to think that was a while ago now. It was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it's 2 years, I think. Because we started in...
It's almost exactly 2 years.
Summer?
Yeah, and we actually had recorded like 8 episodes in the bag before we start. People don't know, but
Oh, that's right.
what we did is we recorded a few because we knew that we were sort of like still figuring out how to do it, and it was going to take longer at first. And so we recorded like the first, I think, 6 episodes before we released the first one. And then that gave us a little bit extra leeway. And Marshall was actually on like our 7th, 8th, 9th episode.
I think it was our 8th episode. We were in Seattle, or I was in Seattle for PAX. So it would definitely, we definitely passed our 2-year anniversary then.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, it's a good time to hang it up then, huh?
I guess so. To the listeners,
thank you so much for listening to the Command Zone for these past 2 years.
That's not how To the Listeners works.
Oh, you're right. It was to the listeners, though.
That's true. It's from his heart to the listeners.
Yeah.
From our heart. Thank you for listening for the past 2 years.
Thank you.
But the real To the Listeners question that we want to hear from you, answers back on Twitter, is what is your one go-to card for mana ramp and card draw?
Yeah, it could be the same card, or it could be 2 different cards. But yeah, I like that question a lot. So please, let us know what you think about this question, and if you have an answer.
And please, visit cardkingdom.com, use the affiliate link /command zone, order all your Conspiracy 2 product, and let us get credit for it with our sponsor.
We're going to take credit for everything that you do from now on, especially if it's related to Card Kingdom. But hey, that one card that you're talking about in the To the Listener section could be that card that you buy from cardkingdom.com /command zone.
Hey, one of mine was Burgeoning. That's in the set.
Yeah, it's in Conspiracy.
Sweet.
That card used to cost a lot. It will not cost as much anymore. Look what happened to Exploration after the first Conspiracy, and that card is awesome for Commander as well.
Burgeoning's better.
Burgeoning's better, which
By
is
quite a
great.
margin.
I like that we're ramping that up.
Yep. All right, now it's time for the end step where we talk about something cool outside the world of Magic. You know what's cool, Jimmy?
What?
That I'm in Europe right now. Jimmy's not. And that's actually like we recorded this like 2 weeks ago, but I'm currently in Europe. So there.
We're in Europe right now?
No, not we.
Why am I in Europe right now?
You're not in Europe. I'm in Europe.
No. We're at the Rocket Jump offices. What are you talking about?
I know it's confusing because we're in that time warp thing that happens when we record episodes.
Where in Europe are you right now?
I think right now I'm in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen, Denmark. Woo!
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Probably eating, or maybe I'm at like Tivoli, which is their big theme park. I could be looking at
they have
some
a theme.
castles.
What's the theme park?
It's called Tivoli. It's like their big. I think it's like the second biggest. I might get the ranking wrong, but it's one of the big theme parks in Europe. After
Cool.
like,
what do they have there?
They have some beautiful gardens. They have roller coasters and stuff. I think
That's cool.
I really don't know, but I could be looking at some castles or eating really good food. Copenhagen's known for their food. One of the reasons that we're going there. The restaurant I think that was voted like the #1 restaurant in the world like 4 years running is there. It's called Noma. By the way, I could not get reservations. I'm incredibly upset about that.
I mean, you probably would have to have asked
a year ago.
A year ago, yeah.
And we planned the trip like 3 weeks ago. So that's how we
You
roll.
mean 5 weeks ago at this point?
Yeah, 5 weeks ago. Dang
Maybe
it.
6 weeks ago.
I forgot about the time
Are
warp.
you sure you're not still at Rocket Jump? If I walk out that door, will they serve me water when I go to a restaurant for free?
I don't know.
Because that's a distinctly American thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm confused about where everybody is. I think we're in the Upside Down.
Oh, hey, speaking of which, Josh's past 2 t-shirts, if you guys didn't notice.
Oh, man, I was going to hope they just noticed on their own. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, it's the end of the 2nd episode, and you don't have another one after this, right?
I needed a 3rd one. I'm really disappointed in myself.
Does anyone know where my shirt's from? Let me know.
I think it's Scott Pilgrim.
Nope.
But if you notice in the Scott Pilgrim movie, just look at his t-shirts if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, his t-shirts are great. All right, well, that was a lot of rambling.
Okay.
Should we move on?
We tried to make this episode, we're trying to stretch it to make it like equal to the length of our normal episodes. Because this is a little bit of a filler because I'm gone in Europe right now.
How about that weather in Europe? How is it?
I think it's cold. I'm going to Iceland next. It's going to be even colder.
But is it cold in Iceland in the summer? It's only
cold.
It's called Iceland, but it doesn't mean it's icy all the time.
I mean, that's the story between Iceland and Greenland, right? They flip the names of them so that they trick people.
Oh.
Because Greenland's actually very icy and Iceland's kind of more green, even though they're both north and they're cold. Anyway, then I'll be in Seattle for PAX, so I'll see you pretty soon.
PAX.
I'll see you in like a week.
The end step where we talk about something cool outside the world of Magic. We're going to be in PAX this year. We have not decided whether or not, as of the recording of this episode, we might be having some kind of meetup. If not, you can definitely find Josh and I. We're going to be around the Magic area very frequently. We're going to be
doing stuff with WotC. So
yeah, with
Jimmy
WotC.
more than me, but
actually, I'm just sort of at the beginning and end of it. You're going to definitely be throughout the bulk of it more during the middle, which is nice.
I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. They sent me a bunch of emails. I need to read those.
Yeah. Well, you got to get back from Europe first.
That's right.
You're landing from Europe straight to Seattle. No, the jet lag will be real, but Josh is going to be there. I'm going to bring some Commander decks. You're going to bring a few as well.
You're going to bring mine.
Yeah, I'm going to bring yours. But it's going to be a blast. I really can't wait. PAX, my favorite convention of the year. And the nice thing about PAX too is they have one in Boston. They have one in, I think, somewhere in Texas. But they have PAX South, East, and Prime. And they even have a PAX Australia coming up.
We're going to PAX Prime?
Yeah, it's PAX Prime.
Autobots rollout. It's PAX Prime.
Yeah, because Penny Arcade was based out of Seattle originally. They used to have it at the hotel right by the airport. And had I known growing up, I would have gone to PAX every year because I always saw it come up and I was like, man, whatever. But had I known.
Had you known. Well, this is my first time, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's super, super exciting. Hope to see some of y'all there. If not, hope to see y'all sometime.
Down the road
someday. Yeah, down the road someday. Somewhere over the rainbow.
That's awesome.
We shall meet.
Are we still going?
Somewhere, I don't know. Probably not. We should probably end the podcast now.
Yep, Segway Man failed me on this one, but you should check out our sister podcast, The Masters of Modern. Alex Kessler, Ben Bateman, they talk about the modern format, all things competitive Magic. Follow them on Twitter at the MMCast. You can find them on rocketjump.com right next to us under the podcast tab. They've also started doing video like us. Well, not exactly like us, their own take on video.
They have cards popping up.
I doubt they have 3 cameras like this, but they they show the cards and stuff.
What if you just popped over and like, hey, let's check out the new and it's just like high production value.
They got like dollies and cranes, They got like makeup people coming in and they got, knowing Bateman, that's definitely possible. I heard they're going to like build a set and stuff at some point, and he does that stuff for a living, so it's totally possible.
Yeah, he does a lot of other podcasting and
We're going to have our work cut out for us keeping up with those guys.
We got to build a set out. We'll do something.
The Masters of Modern. Check them out.
Yep. And you guys can find us online. Thank you to Terry Robertson, who edits the show and who makes our video versions of it, which for these episodes have 3 cameras. Woo, woo, woo. Look at all of them. Actually, you can't see me looking into that one. But yeah, it's a great... Oh, hey.
Oh.
Hey. It's a much more inclusive way to watch the show. You get to see our faces. Sometimes we do little silly things. You can see like our reactions to stuff too. Sometimes I'm just zoning out looking at the outline. Other times I'm like...
Sometimes a spider comes in.
That was great. Mine is actually it was terrifying, but it was great that it worked out like that. So I was pretty happy about that. Yeah, so you can check that out. Thank you, Terry. Go to youtube.com/the Command Zone podcast. And very big thanks to Geoffrey Palmer, who does the living card animations. Like we have this awesome Soul Ring intro. Welcome to the Command Zone. You can find him on Twitter at livingcardsmtg.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
You should throw 3 up for 3 cameras.
How do you throw 3 up? I've only got 2 hands.
Peace. Well,
3 fingers.
Not 3 hands.
How does that We'll throw 3.
Throw up 3 fingers. Yo,
Here,
peace.
I got it.
West side.
We did fake 3. Give me. No, you gotta do both your hands.
Oh, yeah. Yo, what's up? Peace. All right, see you guys.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter at JFWong and at Josh Lee Kwai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.